good?
No, I might check.
Hurry up, I gotta hurry up. I can't be standing here when she gets here. She's gonna have to push me out of the way.
Do my best to.
Can you help hold stuff down?
I think we're good.
All right.
All right. Everybody ready? You good? All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to Lisa. And Lisa, I think thought that was a band at one point, for having me here today. And thank you for all the important work that you do in the St. Johns River Keepers, the local watershed, and our state's water at its large. In early August, I went on a tour of many of our state's beautiful water resources. What I saw broke my heart. With toxic blue-green algae, record manatee deaths, red tide, and the damage done from Piney Point, it is clear that our state has multiple water crises that are threatening our ecosystem, our economy, and our overall way of life. Unfortunately, efforts to protect our environment have gotten caught up in partisan politics and finger pointing. That's why I knew we had to take action. I came into office with a commitment to further clean water efforts in our state. And in August, we rolled out our initiative that we have been working on at the Department of Agriculture for the last 2.5 years. We are rewriting the rules when it comes to agriculture water policy in the state, taking landmark action to increase accountability, transparency, and coordination. When I came into office in 2019, Florida's Agriculture Best Management Practices, otherwise known as BMPs, had not been updated in over a decade. I think we all can agree that a lot has changed as far as agriculture, science, technology, in the last 1.5 years, let alone the last 10 years. And our policies should reflect the times, utilizing the latest data, research, and technological availability. As part of our Clean Water Initiative, our Office of Agriculture Water Policy is revamping and reinventing its programs to ensure the high level of effectiveness. This includes common sense changes, like prioritizing high-value projects with our cost share program to get the greatest bang for our buck for our farmers, who are the best stewards of our land, continue to employ more efficient nutrient and water usage practices. We're also focusing on supporting multifaceted practices such as cover crops and no-till drills that provide significant climate mitigation and carbon sequestration benefits. With our Clean Water Initiative, for the first time ever, rather than relying on voluntary self-reporting when it comes to compliance, the Florida Department of Agriculture is conducting in-person visits in cooperation with our agriculture stakeholders. For the first time ever, we will be taking action against those refusing to comply with state law to ensure that best management practices are being properly implemented. For the first time ever, we will be working with producers on collective action plans and refer cases of non-compliance to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for enforcement. And for the first time ever, the department is inspecting, collecting, and aggregating detailed records of the nutrients being applied by agriculture producers on the production landscape. This increases accountability, transparency, and provides the data necessary to inform decisions based on strong science. Through our Clean Water Initiative, we are increasing the transparency of the state's agriculture water programs, while also increasing coordination with the public, stakeholders, the agriculture industry, and our agency partners. This is being done through enhanced education and training outreach, with our department providing online and in-person resources to make our agriculture water programs more accessible. Because to truly impact and make change, we know it takes collaboration with all of our stakeholders, from individuals to research partners like UF-IFAS, to local governments and our coordinating agencies like the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. From starting at zero when I came into office to where we are now, continuing to move forward with our Office of Agriculture Water Policy's Clean Water Initiative, we have come a long way to make sure these landmark changes, and I want to thank my team for all the work that they have put in the last 2.5 years to get us to the point to where we are today. We know how much work has been done, but we know how much work still needs to get done. But I am proud to have our department stand up and take concrete action to promote clean water in our state when no other department has previously done so. We are committed to keeping moving forward on the implementation of our Clean Water Initiative and look forward to proposing further steps with hopefully the support of our state legislature in this upcoming session. I'd now like to turn it over to Lisa King, who the City of Jacksonville is lucky to have in its corner as a true community leader and as a member of the St. John's Riverkeeper Board. I'd also have the honor of introducing the Riverkeeper herself, Lisa Reineman, who you both may share their specific challenges that you have seen here in Duval and St. John's. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa King. I'm a native of Jacksonville, and I have had the blessing to live on Heckscher Drive for over 20 years. As a riverfront homeowner, we have seen any action that any player makes, the impacts that they have on our water, both in our quality of life and our economy. As the mother of 3 children and a grandmother, I have been very concerned about what we have seen in terms of blue-green algae here in the St. John's and the impacts that can have on people's health, particularly. One of my children is an asthmatic, and most people don't realize that blue-green algae actually can have respiratory impacts that are significant. And as we all know, we have more than enough challenges right now dealing with respiratory illnesses because of COVID-19. So I was thrilled that Commissioner Fried's, her leadership that she is bringing to make sure that everyone who impacts the river make sure that they follow best management practices so that the river is as healthy as it can be. And as someone who lives on Heckscher, I also worry about the other economy that people forget about, and that's our shrimping industry. Shrimp their nurseries are in our Timucuan Preserve out on Heckscher Drive. And blue-green algae can have many negative impacts in terms of their habitat and their health. And that impacts the economy of our shrimping industry and our local economy. So with that, with the lady with the science, I'd like to bring Lisa Reineman up.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Commissioner, for having us today with your announcement. My name is Lisa Reineman, and I'm the St. John's Riverkeeper, and I'm proud to have been your St. John's Riverkeeper for the last 12 years. Our organization's been around for 22 years, and nutrient pollution and reducing nutrient pollution is a major focus of ours to protect and to restore the St. John's River. There are many sources, and so there's not one silver bullet. It's all of us working together to reduce our nutrient footprint so we don't have to deal with toxic blue-green algae like we've seen in high levels over the last 2 weeks. In some cases, the toxicity levels were more than 300 times safe recreational levels, and that has not only an environmental impact that hurts our economy, as well as that presents significant health risk. And our farmers, they depend on clean water just like our river. And so when we have the opportunity to support opportunities for more accountability, a reduction in runoff, as well as creating incentives and making sure that these best management practices are verified or enforced, that's a good day for our farmers, as well as it's a good day for the St. John's River and all the waterways in the state of Florida. So we look forward to continuing to work with Commissioner on these clean water initiatives and making sure we're all doing our part for clean waters for the state of Florida and for the St. John's. And thank you so much for your time today. I'll turn it back over to the Commissioner.
Thank you again for having me here in Jacksonville. For those who recall, I lived here for about 2 years after law school and lived right on the St. John's. And so this is near and dear to my heart as well. And so it's so nice to always be back here and here today to shine light on this importance of a healthy environment and clean waterways for the well-being of all of its residents and the economy in our communities across the state. We are so grateful for the work that you both do to raise awareness and to protect our most treasured resources, our water. I hope you know that you will always have a partner in the Department of Agriculture. Now, before I open up to questions, I want to touch on another initiative that my department has taken as we continue to prioritize the health of our waterways and our environment. Just a few weeks ago, we started the rulemaking process to phase out the use of polystyrene food packaging at over 40,000 of our grocery stores, markets, convenience stores, and other businesses that we regulate. For roughly 100 years now, polystyrene has been commercially produced and used by many of our consumer products, including food packaging. And because of these petroleum-based products may take more than 500 years to decompose, and styrofoam being an estimated 30% of the landfill space, polystyrene packaging may continue its negative effects long after it has been thrown away. We can also see every day the impact of discarded polystyrene on our environment, from litter in our waters, to the poisoning and death of our marine life, to persisting in our air, soil, and waters way beyond our lifetimes. Alternative products have been existed for over 100 years, but with polystyrene powered by cheap oil, businesses haven't had a reason to improve for consumers, and consumers haven't had a reason to demand better products. As both the Consumer Protection Agency and Food Safety Agency for the state of Florida, we have an opportunity to help consumers and companies make the change a reality with products that are safer and better for human health, animal health, and of course, our environment. Because there is no data on how much polystyrene food packaging is currently used in Florida businesses, the department is asking and seeking to have our regulated entities start reporting annually the amount of polystyrene sold or distributed every single year. It is our vision to begin a phased out reduction of the amount of polystyrene food packaging that can be used until we reach zero within the decade. These new state rules are undergoing the rulemaking process now, including workshops and public comments, and the final details will evolve as we hear from businesses, experts, and of course, the public. With over a third of our state taking action on this, phasing out polystyrene will spur innovation and create opportunities for entrepreneurship, will reduce chemicals harmful to consumer health and our environment, and reduce costs to discarding of these forever chemicals, and will keep litter out of our waters that are already in so much of a crisis. So thank you again, and I will be taking interviews. Questions?
I got a question for you, actually, two.
Go for it.
One, I don't see any Duval delegation members, Democrats, here, Senator Gibson, obviously. Where are they on this? Do they back you on this?
Well, this is obviously on my official capacity, so this is something that we're having experts dealing on these issues on the environment. And of course, first of all, when it comes to polystyrene, this is something that the legislature passed a few years ago to give authority to the Department of Agriculture. And so now we are taking that step to actually put it into fruition. And when it comes to our Clean Water Initiative, this was also a piece of legislation that was passed, the Senate Bill 712, that also gave us additional authority on these things. And so I'm hoping that all people in the state of Florida are behind these initiatives. This is something that creates clean water, clean environment, something that we all have to be working on together.
Do you have concerns about Wilton Simpson getting elected Agriculture Commissioner? I mean, obviously he's the leading fundraiser, got the leading energy. There's no Nikki Fried 2022 on the Democratic primary field. So do you expect this legacy to be continued that you're out with?
Look, we are creating a legacy for our environment. And I would hope that anybody who gets elected after me, whether Democrat, Republican, Independent, will understand the importance that we don't have time to put a pause on these issues. Our waters are in crisis. Our health system is in crisis because of this, and our economy is in crisis. So I would hope and I would challenge anybody who is going to be stepping into this commissioner's role that you have an obligation to continue some of these changes. And if you don't live up to those expectations, the people of the state of Florida will demand it and will not be voting that individual into office if they do not see the necessity to continue projects like this.
Do you have any thoughts on the Duval delegation supporting Chris, Gibson?
Nope. Listen, I get to work, I get things accomplished, and that's what my focus is on.
Question for either any of you. Can you speak at all about the difference in how government agencies measure algae toxicity versus how the river keeper is measured?
Sure. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been, both the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and St. John's Riverkeeper has been doing samples to determine how safe or unsafe our waters are. And the difference between our testing protocols, we actually sample at the surface. That's where you see the green scum, and that's where people and pets are at most risk. So we believe from a health perspective, it's extremely important to grab a true surface grab. The Environmental Protection Agency, the FDEP, they actually go 0.3 meters down, so about a foot underneath the surface, and we believe that doesn't give a true picture of what the health risks are. So that's why there's a difference in sampling protocols, and we believe it's to protect human health.
Quick follow-up. Should there be a change in how DEP measures?
We believe there definitely should be a change because the health department is depending on their sampling protocols. So we think it is important that they consider a change to make sure that they're putting a true picture on human health risk.
Question for Commissioner Fried real quick. You said you toured other places in the state. How does Duval County, how does the St. Johns River compare to the rest of the state? Are we worse, better? What does that look like?
You know, it depends on where and when. You know, of course, I was in parts of kind of the West Coast during some of the heights of the red tide. And so we saw that both after Piney Point, and we saw it, you know, obviously increase significantly and even go all the way down to Manatee County. But also even for the last couple of years, you know, I've been able to go onto the waterways and see. Duval County, and I mean, it's beautiful today, but certainly during some bad times, it's just as bad as what's happening on the West Coast. And we even saw in 2018 when we had blue-green algae coming out of Lake Okeechobee that was then impacting both sides of the waterways. We saw red tide on both the East Coast and the West Coast. So I think that the moral of it is we all need to do better. And that the fact that there's any parts of our state that are experiencing these types of issues, nothing's isolated. And so if we don't take a statewide approach in trying to fix these issues from the ground up or ground down, then, you know, we're all complicit, and so we can't be. And so we all need to be working on these types of plans, working together, talking about these issues, and seeing what may be working on one part of our state. Maybe it's a good idea. There's pilot projects happening all over the state that we need to be continuing to communicate and utilizing resources from all areas.
And just real quick follow-up then, about this initiative. Is this getting people out here to take the algae out of the water, or is this starting somewhere else to prevent the algae in the first place? Like, what is that exactly?
Yeah, the initiative is to prevent it. You know, that certainly there's all types of ideas of how once it's there, but my whole philosophy is let's try to prevent it. And so this initiative is something that we need to be taking today to make sure that agriculture does its part. From every agriculture industry members that I've spoken to in the last few years, everybody are great stewards of the land. You know, they want to make sure that, as was just said by Lisa, everybody has to have quality water. But certainly with new innovation, new technology, not every small farm can afford it. That's why we have cost share programs. And with new technology out there is educating them. And that's part of the job of our Ag Water Policy Initiative, is to get out to the farms, be communicating, educating, to help do our part to prevent any of the algae to begin with. All right, well, thank you. Thank you.